So what I'm gonna do right now, first of all, I'm gonna introduce ourselves, everybody who's catching this on this morning, our second session of our Men Making Big Moves Men Conference. A bit unorthodox, to say the least, because we're not in our building. Every year we do what we call our Family Affair Conference, where we deal with the issues of the family one member at a time. When kids are going back to school, starting back our regimen of life, and no better time than now because kids are starting back to school when we're still trying to figure out life. And the worst thing we can do is throw a monkey wrench into the equation while we're already trying to figure things out. Okay, here comes schools, and now we're trying to literally try to stay afloat. And so we didn't want to dismantle the Family Affair Conference because of the pandemic. We wanted to make sure we enforced it more. My wife completed hers, and so here is part 2 to the Men Making Big Moves Family Affair Conference. Thank you so much. I have a special guest here with us today, but a little bit about today, how we got here. Once again, I recant a little bit what we shared yesterday, is that whenever this year began to move at the rate it began to move at, I just began to become very silent to hear God. And whenever I began to hear from the brothers of the church, and each one of them was coming to me about different moves they were trying to make, therefore God put in my heart, you need to bring people to the table who can help out with these moves. And so instead of boys making moves, we're dealing with men making big moves in spite of the moves that we made as boys, and the things that we did as boys affecting our man moves. So to say the least, I want to introduce to you a great young man. I've known his mother forever. I feel like she's like a mother to me and my wife. She loves us and cooks some of the best tea cakes, oatmeal raisin cakes, just cakes in general. But I want to introduce you to a young man, Cutis Bradford. Tell him a little about yourself, Mr. Bradford. Then I'll tell him, about why you're here today.
Okay. I'm Cutis, obviously, and I'm from Cleveland, Texas. Grew up in Cleveland, Texas.
Go Indians.
Yep. I was in the band there for the last 5-6 years. I went through school there from junior high on up, and got into music a lot. Still in music, still working on projects, doing gospel songs, things of that nature, and creating sample kits for other producers and stuff like that. But as I was on my musical journey, trying to get where I know God was calling me to go, where I felt like He was calling me to go, He introduced a friend, brought a friend into my life and the friend started speaking into me, telling me, and mind you, I never thought I can sell homes. I never knew a lot about it either, because it's still in my family. It's sad to say, a lot of us don't own homes in my family. We're still trying to get somewhere in that frame. But God introduced me to real estate and home. He told me I'd be a great salesman. He told me that he saw something in me. He said, you should try to go down this route and learn more about this, because I think you'll be great in it. So years after school, going to school for music, traveling, doing work in music studios with different record producers and artists, all around California, New York, Jamaica. I done been a lot of places doing music, but God opened up a door for me to walk into a home sales job. And these people didn't even know me at all. I didn't have any background in home sales, but I killed the interview. They believed in me. They saw something in me. And 5 years later, I've been working with a home builder by the name of Tilson Homes, and I've been doing great. I've been learning so much from Tilson themselves, because they're more of a hands-on type of company, and they really took me under their wings, and I saw the natural skills that I had with people, and taught me the whole game of how to build on your own lot when it comes to building your home. But that's where I've been for the last 5 years, still doing my music, still trying to help young men and people as much as I can, as much as I know how to, and sell these homes. So that's where I'm now.
Listen, and it's ironic because you know, like I told everyone before, you know, how this conference came about because men kept coming to me this season at New Destiny. We called this in 2020. We're jumping in 2020, and now we're still jumping in 2020 in spite of the pandemic. That's what we're saying. And so I'm so excited because a lot of the brothers, if they're not starting businesses, they're trying to buy homes or they're trying to make big man moves that, you know, they wasn't thinking about. I'm 40 years old. I don't know how old you are, young man, but I'm 40 years old. And I promise you one thing, when you hit 40, no matter how clear you see things at 30, 35, even 39, if something happened when I turned 40, where I don't know if it's because I realized that, you know, I'm halfway to 80 and I want to make sure I make some things happen, but the light turned on. And so I'm seeing a lot of brothers who are coming to me, and one of the major topics are a lot of brothers are ready to buy homes. You know, I was a renter. I was a avid renter. I love to rent. I'm like, I don't have to worry about nobody else's problems. You know, if it breaks, they fix it. But so how me and Brother Bradford met was, I knew him before. I kind of came across him. I heard him speak at Spirit of Integrity in Livingston. I don't know if you remember that, but you came and spoke, and I heard you. I heard your single. You got an awesome single. For those who are on here, tell them what your single is so they can go out and purchase your single.
You're talking about, man, that's crazy. You're talking about the single because I released that single years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's still hot though. It's still hot.
Yeah, it's called "Don't Lose Your Soul."
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that song you can find it on any music platform. You just search for Curtis Bradford.
You got to check it out. This one single. You want to get in your kids' ears. You want to get in your niece and nephew's ears because it's amazing. I know you probably dropped some other music since then. That music there was really life changing for me when I heard it. To hear that it's a young brother from Cleveland.
Yeah,
but no problem. It was amazing. But with that being said, now I'm sitting here and hadn't seen this young man. No, I see him a little bit, I guess, because his mom, different things, but literally haven't put my eyes on him in a while. Well, many people know that this year I spoke 3 moves I was making. 1 move was buying a home, another one was opening a business, and the third one was making our church a effective ministry that's able to reach out to the community. And we are in the middle of doing all 3. I'm excited to say. But in my home buying process, I'm going to spare everybody my experience of buying a home. But I'm working with Tilson Home. I've been working with Tilson Home now for about 3 or 4 months now. It's been a very involved process, and I'm working with a young lady in Huntsville. And one thing about Tilson Home, they have become very social media friendly, and they're putting a lot of videos out. And I look up and I see this young man's face. I'm like, I felt bad because I'm now spending, you know, half my life investments into a young lady that I wish I could have dropped it into this brother because I see what he's doing and I like to throw in and pour into people I see, but that wasn't the case. But God allows to cross paths because when I talked to him, his heart was to talk to people about buying homes and getting young African Americans, young people who are trying to start life. He's trying to get them prepared for that. So the reason why I'm bringing you on, Brother Bradford, I'm saying a lot now to get out the way so you can talk because I want them to hear from you. But the reason why I brought you on because you have a piece of the puzzle a lot of people need to hear on how to buy a home. I know there's different ways to buy a home, whether you're buying like Tilson and putting them on someone's existing property or you're trying to, repurpose property and start investing. But there's some nuances that you're running into as a salesman that you probably see people get disappointed because they didn't do the due diligence on the front end. So if you had an opportunity to talk to people before they came to you, what would you tell them? It's yours.
It's so much, man. And I'm gonna try my best to just give it to you in a way that I've experienced it and kind of package it up for the sake of time. But one thing I would want to say first is, man, I am no expert at this, and I've been with Tilson for 5 years, but I've learned a lot because I started out in leasing apartments on the side. Yeah. And I didn't tell you that, but I started leasing apartments when I was going to music school in Austin, Texas, and trying to learn that game. But so transitioning from apartment leasing to now sitting in the office working with clients who are trying to purchase homes anywhere from $150,000 on up to $500,000. So I'm dealing with it was a big jump to deal and a lot to take in. So I'm still processing a lot of stuff that I'm learning at the job now in terms of being prepared, in terms of once you sign that contract, and what you need to be prepared for after that contract is signed, and really doing your due diligence on insurance and the right lenders to work with, interest rates, all of that. Like, I didn't know any of that until 5 years from today, and so everything I'm saying is merely off of my experience, and I pray that you guys can receive it however you can, and whatever I can do to help, we can go from there. But what I will say with saying that is, I've seen a lot of people come into my office with land, but they haven't did their due diligence on knowing the actual history of the land, because I've seen so many sad faces ready to go with property, so excited, but once we sign, and me being new to the business, I didn't have the enough skills to say, hey, before we sign this contract, have you closed with a title company? Have you taken your particular land and talk with a title company about the land that you own? And the reason I say that is because the title company, they can go do all the proper research to make sure there's no liens on your property, to make sure that your land is not tied up in any type of legal issues, because some people get land passed down from family. Some people just go purchase land from a face-to-face deal with someone and just, hey, cash deal, this is your land now, and then I'll email you the deed or I'll mail you the deed. But those type of situations are run away from them situations, because what I've seen is that people will, for one particular person, she had a piece of land that she bought from a man, and the man didn't know that when his wife passed away, she had some issues with the IRS, and she had a business. Wow. So the IRS had already, he knew she had a business, obviously, but he didn't know that she was in trouble with the IRS. So the IRS obviously took her business, but the land that she owned, they put a lien on that. And the husband, and it was so sad, because the lady, I'm actually still working with this particular lady now to try to help her through this, but the gentleman, since she knows the gentleman, she was able to go back to him and say, hey, there's a $30,000 lien on this property that you bought, that you sold to me. What are we going to do about this? And he did some research and found out that the IRS has been trying to get a hold of him and trying to let him know that, hey, obviously you're the owner of this land now. We got to get paid, and if you want to do anything with this property, we got to get paid.
Wow, that's huge.
Right, huge, man. It was like to me, because I'm thinking, I'm still trying to own land myself. That's my next step. I'm building a house right now, but I'm building in a subdivision still for a lot of different reasons. But my goal is to, own a couple acres, because I feel like that's what we're supposed to do, and it's the best investment you can make. God is not making any more land, is what they say.
No, he's not.
Don't get you a piece.
It's key you said that, and we're facing some of those issues now. Looking into some of those things, and I'll talk to you some things like that offline, because I got some questions about that. But that's key.
Yeah, but so, man, I that's the first thing that I told myself, man. As soon as I started talking to people about buying land and buying on their own lot, make sure you go through a title company, because what could have happened before that lady purchased that land from that gentleman, she could have paid a couple $100. I think it may be $200, $300, and mind you, $300 for $200,000, $100,000, a $50,000 investment is worth it. If you're going to spend that type of money, spend the $300 and let somebody do their due diligence and check for you, check all of the behind the scenes things that you probably don't know about regarding your land. Even if your mama passed it down to you, or she say her dad passed it down to her, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That, man, that's big, because that's a big investment, and you want to make sure, just like with any investment, you're getting the best out of this deal, and you understand what you have in your hands. And
Right.
so now you know how to maneuver. Now I own a piece of land. I got all of my papers. Can't nobody tell me nothing. I know how to move now. Now I want to go buy land, and I'm prepared.
Gotcha.
But that'll be the first thing I would say, and then just gearing up to figuring out what you want to do, what type of home you want to put on that land. The next biggest step is if you're in a city, is huge, because you have to jump so many hurdles just to get the city approval, even if it's a well-known builder like Tilson Homes. I was amazed by how many hurdles Tilson have to jump just to get the building permits, just to get the approval from city and from the county to say, hey, okay, we're going to let you build on the land that you purchased in our city or in our county. It blew my mind, because one thing I love to, man, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get off topic.
No, take your time.
Yeah, but I love what I've learned so much about this job is basically what God is trying to do in me. And because I've opened my eyes to why I'm in this situation, why I'm dealing with all of these different people from all walks of life, why sometimes I have to be a counselor in my office, and I'm not trying to be. I've had people cry in my office. I've had church in my office, and I think that's why God has me here. But I'm learning the things that you shouldn't do and what you need to be prepared. But I'm also seeing how the world is just a game of power.
Yes.
It's like, so looking at these people saying, hey, if you don't have XYZ, you can't even build on your own land
that you own.
You can't. If you don't jump these hurdles like I tell you to, you're not going to build the house, your dream home. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I got you.
And it blew my mind, but it showed me one thing, that no matter what, you need to be on top of your business.
Yeah.
If you want to survive in this world, you need to be on top of your business. You need to know what you're getting into. And that's what I got excited about getting on this call, because I feel like that's what God was telling me. It's my time to do. It's time to educate and you may never be prepared. I don't have a big degree. I don't have a master's. I'm not that guy. I'm a musician, and I just love to create music, but God has put me in a situation to grow in this field based on my interest in real estate. And I'm trying to make sure that, like, little things like that, knowing that the city, getting back to the list, knowing that the city has to approve your house plans. They have to approve where you sit in your house. They have to approve how far it sits back from the main road.
Gotcha.
And on the sides of each house. So, even when it comes to your septic, if you have property in a city, know that off top, there's going to be fees to tap into the sewer line. There's going to be fees to tap into their water. It's a game of power. You can't tap into my water unless you pay me. Unless you know, and a lot of people get frustrated after the contract of getting his home, because one thing that everybody loves, including myself, is going in the color room and picking out your stuff, knowing how your house is gonna look. We all love the bells and the whistles.
Yep.
But it's the meat, it's the foundation that you really need to understand and be putting more time into, because the bells and whistles can crumble at any time because you don't have the foundation. And if you don't have a foundation and understand what you're getting into, you're gonna lose that home.
It's funny you saying this, because the things that, when I was thinking about building a house, I automatically assumed that the house alone was going to absorb all the incremental expenses. It was going to absorb the power. It was going to absorb the sewer. It was going to absorb the water. I thought it was going to absorb all those things, and I'm finding out that is not the case.
Oh man, it's a lot, man. I don't want to discourage anyone. I'm hoping that I'm helping, because you need to know that it's a lot. You need to know that, because if you don't, I remember listening to a sermon by one of my good pastors. I love Pastor Michael Todd, based out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how if you get up on a bench press and you're used to lifting 245s on one side, or 145 on each side, you're good with that because you're used to it. But if somebody slap 2 more 45s on each side, you're gonna need a spot. You're not gonna, because that's not what you're.
That speaks because a lot of us are making moves now. We're trying to move like we did, but we don't want the wisdom of those around us to spot us. That's good.
That's good. That's the season. I feel blessed that I'm on this FaceTime with you, because this is what I've prayed for. I'm 37, by the way, and I've been praying for big brothers in my life that can help bring out of me what I know God has in me. And because it's always been the other way around. I've been trying to help pull people up, but I need somebody to pull me up sometimes. And that's why I feel blessed, because I know your God is speaking to you, because I feel like I've been trying to do this right here with many great men that I have in my life right now. But the person that's stopping me is me. And my schedule. And so I think God is trying to help reel me in just by you reaching out to me. He's trying to help me get, okay, I got some things I need you to do. I got some people that I need you to talk to just like this, so that you can start helping. And I honestly feel like I believe in God. I believe that He's doing this and He's trying to push me, because that's what I've been praying for. I've been praying for a big brother. I've been praying to come serve under some of another leadership. I've been praying for where God wants me to go, and so I've just been taking the baby steps. But I'm sorry, but that's what I would say.
No, this is all part of it, because listen, men making big moves, and I'm not going to edit that out of here, because men making big moves got to be willing, like you said, to be willing to be spotted, and that's why I am. And you got to realize, I wrote a quote not too long ago, and I was doing a speech for my niece and my nephew. And I said this year, I gave them 7 lessons I learned in life. And one of the lessons I learned this year is that always stay teachable. I say life is a place where you can't choose a teacher. Be willing to be taught by anybody and take notes, because you never know when you're going to become the teacher. That's one of my great lessons. And so I'm willing to be taught while teaching. So no, what you're saying is dead on point. If we're going to make big moves, man, we got to realize you can't be so much of a big man that you can't let a younger man or even an older man teach you on how they became the man they became.
Come on, man. I'm learning from my stepson. I've been in his life since he's 6 years old. He's 17, and I have learned how to love through him.
Wow.
And it's like he's just big on love and touch, and meeting my wife's love signs. And I said to myself, my son is not gonna meet my wife's love signs more than you.
That's good.
Yeah, but other than that, man, it's just those cities. Just understand, going back to what I would advise you guys is just to make sure you understand your land. Make sure you know that it's not as easy as going to a salesman or going to any building and saying, "Hey, I got a piece of land and I want to build a house." You have to know that. You have to know the value. Go ahead and do the research of what's the value of your land. Based on when you purchased it versus how it's sitting today. Know what you're coming to the table with, because most builders are going to want to know that. They're going to want to know do you know the value of the property? Is it 1 acre? Do you already have a survey showing the dimensions of the property, showing the easements? And easements are things where, again, the city and the county is telling you have to be 10 feet away or 5 feet away from each house. Even if you're building in the country, they're going to have some sort of rules of how far the house has to sit from the main road, especially if it's a strict county or a strict city. So just knowing those things helps as well, and knowing that no matter who gave you the land, another issue we run into is people, they'll have land gifted to them, and it'll still have their mom's name and their whoever gave it to the mom on that deed as well. And if you're going in to do a contract with a builder, they're not going to want your name and your mom's name and your mom's name on the deed, because we're doing the contract with you. If your mom and her mom has to stay on the deed, then you're going to have to be prepared to do a contract and have your mom and her mom sign.
So they got to gift it. They got to gift it and put it all the way in your name.
They got to put it all the way in your name, because we want to know that, because the next step is they're going to put a mechanical lien. Well, Tilson, speaking from my experience, some builders already have all of this stuff tied in. If you're buying the house and the land together, kind of like I did. I bought in a subdivision with the lot and the house together. And I'm building it from the ground up, but the lot and the house is already considered into the deal. So they did all of the work that they have to do to make sure that the land is good and ready to go.
Gotcha.
But I'm speaking from terms of you having your own land passed down to you, or you've purchased a piece of land from someone and you've already did your due diligence and now you have the deed in your hand. Talking from that standpoint, but if going back to it, if the deed is out in somebody else's name with your name, we have to put a mechanical lien on the property to protect us while we're building your house, just to make sure you don't back out. And if we're putting a mechanical lien on your property, and somebody else's name is attached to it, it can turn into some real crazy legal issues. So if you don't close on the home, or if you do something where you back out, we can go to that your mama, we can go to her mama, we can do whatever we have to do legally to get our money.
Wow.
We're going to use any name that's on that deed. So that's why we would rather just tell you up front, if you're going to deal with us, make sure that deed is transferred into your name only, or you and your husband's name only. And you have to go through the county or go through the city to get that done, and that costs, and that takes some time,
So basically, title. Make sure the title is free and clear. Make sure you understand all the regiments that the city wants you to go through, and then also make sure that when you get the deed, you're going to get off better if you make sure the deed is gifted 100% in your name. If it's sold, make sure it's totally in your name once you get it in your name.
Yes, sir. That's it. Because if you know those things, me and you talked a little bit offline before this about the little things. That was, you got to do this. Oh, you got to pay for that. Now, if you would have known all of that before you even stepped foot in Tilson's office, you could have been more prepared financially to where it don't hit you as hard. That's what I like to do things and know that, like before I even got into the process of buying my home, I already knew that I want to have 4 times my mortgage, or 10 times my mortgage, where I don't have to touch that, because I understand what's coming. I understand. So I want to be able to, for my first year, what I'm putting into the home, I already understand, and I already knew that that's what I was going to have to put in home. So it made my overall long time goal for the money I wanted to have to the side. It made me have a better vision.
Yeah. And to encourage other big people out there, and just to kind of let you know, if you want to buy that home, and listen, this is a major investment. You're going to buy a home. You're going to get married. You're going to give your life to Christ. 3 major moves and you have children. 4 major moves in your life. So if you know you want this move, everything will have to happen tomorrow. Some things you got to say, okay, no, if we know we're going to get this done, let's start planning for next year. Let's start cutting back here what we really don't need. If you really want to make a big man move, you can't act like a little boy when you go to make a big man move. You got to be ready as a man to make big man moves. Hey, babe, we started talking back in November of last year about getting ready to build a home. November, God hit my heart. You got to be ready to build a home. You got to make sure your child got a place to come to when she's in college. If she's not trying to figure out where dad and mom renting from now. And so when we started making that decision in November, we started stacking our priorities in place. So you can do these things. It's just like you say, if I'm making a big man move, men plan and they prepare, then they pursue. I'm saying again, men plan, they prepare, then they pursue.
That's good, man. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. I'm gonna put that in my studio. That's real.
You got it. You can have it. That's part of life. I think one of my major sayings: we don't plan to fail. We don't plan to fail. We fail to plan. And if we don't plan properly, it come back. And even in your planning, you still gonna get with some curveballs. I wasn't ready for some incremental expenses, but the fact that I did prepare, the fact that I did plan, when I started pursuing, the blows wasn't so hard.
That
They
right.
were disappointing, they were surprising, but every good soldier, every good general in a war would tell you once you get to the field of the battle, everything I prepared for kind of got thrown out the window. But at least we had a skeleton of what we was going to try to do, and we do our best to stick to that.
Yeah, that's good, man. I like that. I feel like that's my life right now. Yeah, man. But that's what I say.
So, are there any other things that you would share? And we got about another 5 minutes left. Anything else you would share with the people? Or anybody, men who's getting ready to buy a home, on the front end before they even, write that contract for that home?
Oh yeah, I actually wrote down something I wanted to share. I don't know if a lot of people are on this, but a really good app that I've been trying to get more young people on is called Dedt. Digit. It's a free app, man, that has changed my life when it comes to saving for certain things. And it's free, but they do take out a few pennies of whatever they're saving for you. So basically how it works is, not only does it help you with your credit score and help you get some things paid off that you're trying to pay off without you even feeling it, because what the app does is it puts in it tracks your spending behavior. Yeah. And it shows you where you can save. You can save right here. So each, based on how you're swiping your card and based on how money is coming into your account, the app finds room. And this was actually on the Steve Harvey show. So I mean, it's another thing I love about it is a black owned business. Gotcha. And so I love to support my people, especially when it has blessed me. It has really helped me.
And it's D-I-T.
No, sir. It's D-I-G-I-T.
D-I-G, like in golf, I-T.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. I got that.
Yeah. So it's just a little app. It's gonna look like a blue. It's gonna be like a blue circle with like a smiley face in the inside.
Gotcha.
But man, it finds it tracks your spending behaviors in ways you can save money, and you can also do a threshold to where if you don't want a certain amount to come out of your checking account, then it would never take that amount out. But I just started doing it off top based on my spending behavior. So it actually helped me. Long story short, it helped me find ways where I can save, and it started saving the money for me. And before you know it, based on me still living my life, doing how I pay my bills and all of that, before you know it, I looked up and had X amount of dollars saved, and I was blown away. Like, because their job, this is so good. Their job is to help you save to where you don't feel it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't feel it, and before you know it, you got you a couple thousand that you're not even worried about because you didn't feel it. And that's what people miss. Like, what I missed for so many years is getting people to help me with my spending behavior. Look at how I'm spending money, how I'm going to fast food, whatever, my gas, from what's coming into my account. And you can also set up, if you have student loans, you can set up your student loans within the program, and it'll pull based on what you want to pay. It'll pull from the account for you, and it'll start stacking the money up, and it'll send you a text message and say, hey, this month we're going to make an X amount of payment on your student loans. And this is going to increase your score by X amount of points. Thank you. And they take care of it for you, so where you don't have to go in and be worrying about, did I pay my student loans, or did I pay that credit card off, or did I do this? The system works it out for you to where, again, you don't feel it, and you can still live how you comfortably need to live to pay your bills. But Digit is the program, the system is going to be finding ways. Oh, you spent $10 today. Oh, and your check, because it knows your when your checks is coming out, however you get paid. What inspired me the most, and I'll wrap it up, a McDonald's guy who he's a janitor for McDonald's.
Gotcha.
It was his story. He wanted to give a scholarship to kids. He saw so many kids come through McDonald's.
I saw that on Steve Harvey. I saw that.
Yeah, that's him. His story was he used Digit. He used Digit, and he was able to, working at McDonald's, That's what people got to hear. Like you ain't got to have no big selling home job, or you ain't got to be making 6 figures. You can find room to stay. You know, it's just it may take you a little longer to get to where you're trying to go. But his story was he saved enough to where he was able to give kids a certain amount of kids $1,000 scholarship, and that's all he wanted to do. But he did it through the help of Dedt.
But that is amazing story, and I thank you, Mr. Curtis. Listen, I know for a fact we're going to cut this off, and as I hate to cut off now, but we're really not cutting it off because I'm excited to let everybody know, yes, tomorrow is our last day. We're going to bring a brother on, and this is a good segue because the brother I'm bringing on tomorrow is going to talk about credit. He repaired by credit because when I came into Tilson told me, for you to get a VA loan, you need a 640 credit. I had a 580 when I walked into Tilson. Mm-hmm. And I talked to this brother here. He was an amazing young man. It's called Rescore. I don't know if you heard of Rescore. If not, you got to get him in your back pocket. But I talked to him, and within a month and a half, he got my score from a 580 to a legitimate 640, a legitimate 647. So when I came back to Amy, you know Amy, she was like, "Wow, we ready to roll," because he did the right thing. So making big boy moves, making big man moves, it take money, it take credit, and it take you doing work. You can't make big man moves without money, without credit, and without making sure that you made the right plans in place.
Yes,
so
sir.
I thank you, Mr. Curtis. Any last words you would like to share with our viewers today?
I would just say, man, stay encouraged, man. Like, if you don't understand this stuff, I'm a perfect candidate for walking into a situation like this where I didn't understand anything and I was scared. But through staying consistent, if you want to learn and grow, just stay consistent at pouring yourself and putting yourself around people that know a little bit more than you, so that you can pull from them. Because if I can do it, I promise you, I know that you can go buy land, you can go do all that. You can go build in a subdivision straight out of high school if you wanted to, if you did your due diligence now with the little things that we're sharing with you today. And you can do whatever you're trying to do in real estate. Just stay consistent is what I say.
I thank you, Mr. Curtis. And some of y'all out there may be watching and say, well, what I want to do, I want to go out and I want to start purchasing property, purchasing houses, and start flipping houses. And you can do that, but you still have to do the things that Mr. Curtis just shared with you. Do your homework. Don't look for everybody to give you a hand up and a hand out. Do the work yourself and see what you're dealing with, because the more work you do yourself, the less surprises you're going to have because someone else is doing the work for you. Mm-hmm. So I thank you, Mr. Curtis. I appreciate you. And to everyone else, until tomorrow, God bless you, and we continue with this Men Making Big Moves conference. And remember, on Wednesday night, chime in live with us, and we're going to have a live Q&A with Mr. Curtis and the other speakers in this conference. Be blessed.